What's up, my fellow legendaries? This is Rayquaza here, bringing the rain to Dueling Network. And this time, we have a new deck profile. It's a deck I threw together pretty fast. The idea is like a deck that has monsters that can attack twice, and also works sort of like a chaos deck. And also, if it has to, can fall back on making Power Tool Mecha Dragon, because I thought this card was pretty interesting and could work pretty well in a deck. And first of all, Power Tool Mecha Dragon's effect is, when a equip card is equipped to this card during your turn, draw one card. You can only use the effect once per turn, and once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one face-up equip card on the field, and that card, and then you can change, basically, it's sort of confusing, but basically you select an equip card on the field, and instead of targeting one of the other monsters on the field, it affects this card. So that's actually a really good effect. So you can, because sometimes with this deck, I've played with it a little bit before this to test it out, but this deck, sometimes you'll get someone a monster and have to play all your equips on it, and then all of a sudden you'll have no more equip cards for any of your other monsters. With Power Tool Mecha Dragon, now you can actually make do with those cards and move them to a more powerful monster. And it also counts as a card. I'm pretty sure it counts as an spell card being equipped, because it becomes equipped to this card. So if your opponent's running some sort of deck like this, that's running equip cards, you can take their equip cards and draw off of them, which is really nice, because one thing this deck can draw some bad hands. Now we'll go through the monsters of the deck. Start with the monsters. Triple Battle Fader. This is some of the darks of the deck if it needs to be used with that, but it can also stop attacks, and it also provides another monster on the field for United We Stand. So overall, it's a really good card and can stop your opponent from doing Judgment Dragon shenanigans just to destroy everything by paying 1,000 and you drop this. This deck can stall out Judgment Dragon and Light Sworns pretty well. One Black Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. He is the boss monster of the deck. He can attack twice, but he can also banish cards. He's a chaos monster, which means you must banish a 1 light and 1 dark monster from your graveyard to summon him. If you're building this deck in real life and you don't have Blackluster Soldier, you could use Chaos Sorcerer instead. It won't be able to attack twice, but you'll still be able to banish your opponent's monsters. One Chaos Hunter. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can discard one card to special summon this card from your hand, and your opponent cannot remove cards from play. This pretty much counters if your opponent's playing a Chaos deck. And it also it's a new tech card I put in, but you can also, if your opponent drops Tragodia on you, you can be discard a card, drop Chaos Hunter on you, and then your opponent's in a bad position. One Copycat. The reason Copycat's in the deck is first of all, it's light, and second of all, you can become the attack and defense of your opponent's card. In most cases, that's not the best ever, because then you can only attack and do it and then both monsters die. But since you have so many equip cards in this deck, it can easily become your strongest monster. And it keeps the attack of your opponent's monster even after it dies. And you can just normal summon it, which is probably the best thing about it. It's a level 1, and it's very versatile in the deck. Triple Diva. Basically, Diva's use is you normal him, special summon another Diva, overlay, and make Daigusto Phoenix. Daigusto Phoenix is able to attack twice by attaching one of its XYZ materials. You can also target another wind monster. I put some other cards in this deck. I'm not sure if you can, how well you can make Big Eye and Gaia Dragon, but it's possible. And then Daigusto Phoenix can give Thunder Charger an extra attack because he's also a wind. And then there's 2 Gachi-Gachis in the deck, just in case you need a defensive approach. That also gives your other monsters attack. 1 Gores. This is the hand trap. I'll move him down here with the other hand trap of the deck. Actually, the hand traps are basically Triple Battle Fader, Gores, and a Tragodia. They stop your opponent's attacks and put a big monster on board. Basically to stop OTKs, and Gore's equipped with a United We Stand with a token and another monster on the field is deadly. He just gained 2,400 attack on top of his already enormous 2,700. If the token's bigger than him, then that means you have an even bigger monster. You just equipped a United We Stand to your token. Okay. One honest purpose of honest is you only run a few lights in the deck, but honest basically you gain your opponent's monster attack, and all the monsters in your deck that are lights, aside from Copycat, can already attack twice. So you getting their attack, you attack over them, then you attack again. You can very easily OTK your opponent with this card plus like BLS, for instance. Like BLS, and it's like, say you have a BLS and against your opponent's BLS. You summon it, then you attack, drop honest, BLS becomes a 6,000, you attack over their BLS, they lose 3,000, then you attack again for a total of 9,000 points of damage end game. Triple Mataza the Zapper, this is another monster that can attack twice, and it's also searchable by reinforcements of the army. That's basically the reason we run reinforcements of the army, to bring out Mataza. And the best thing about him is control of this card cannot switch. So your opponent can't be like, creature swap, give me your monster equipped with like 4 spell or trap cards. So that's basically the purpose of Mataza. When Necro Gardener, it works as another dark in the deck, and you can also use it to banish it from your grave to negate the attack. If you can't tell, the purpose of this deck is to stop your opponent from being able to attack with strong monsters, and then bring out your monsters equipped with equip cards and power through your opponent's deck. One Sangan, this card can search for a lot of the cards in the deck. You can search for any of your Battle Faders, your Copycat, your Deep Sea Divas, your Honest, a Mataza the Zapper, or a Watt Woodpecker from the deck. So that's everything except Blackluster Soldier, Chaos Hunter, Gores, and Tragodia. So that's a big chunk of cards. One Autonomous Action Unit. This card works like a Monster Reborn, except you pay 1,500 life points and you must special summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard. Triple Axe of Despair. This is the standard. Give 1,000 attack to one of your monster cards. You can also tribute a monster, return it to the top of your deck, but you're really not going to be using that effect that much. One Dark Hole just gets rid of your opponent's field presence. It should be pretty straightforward. One Heavy Storm, clear your opponent's back row before you start setting cards down. Mystical Space Typhoon's better than Heavy Storm, so you don't have Heavy Storm, just run triple MST. Then, next we run one Hidden Armory. This card, you send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, then you add one equipped spell card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This card is amazing. You can't normal summon or set the turn you activate it, but usually when you activate it is when you've already dropped Gores, and the best thing about it is you can grab stuff from your graveyard, which actually I didn't know when I was originally testing this deck. Another part of the card, you send the top card of your deck to graveyard, which is called Milling, so you can get some of your lights and darks in your graveyard, so you can bring out BLS. And triple Mage Power, you're going to have a lot of spell cards in your spell and trap card zone, so it's nice to get a bonus off of all the spell and trap cards. At the very worst, it's a 500 attack and defense, which is one of the best things. It's the only equipped card in this deck that gives you both attack and defense. On Mind Control, so you can steal your opponent's monsters, so you can make Big Eye, Gaia, and eventually Gaia Dragon, or Leviathan Dragon, Acid Golem, or any of your level 2s easier. 2 MST, like I said before, it's better than Heavy Storm because a lot of times you're going to have spell and trap cards on your side of the field, and you won't want to destroy them. So that's pretty much where they come into play. You can also set them as bluff cards, and also use them with Mage Power. You can set it, activate Mage Power, and then one of your monsters gain 1,000 attack and defense. One Pot of Duality. This deck could give you pretty bad hands, like a lot of decks can, so it's nice to be able to get more options to your hand. one reinforcement of the army. It's basically a way to grab yourself either a monster that can attack twice or Necro Gardener so you can get into your graveyard and negate attacks. Scapegoat, one scapegoat, it's limited to one. If there was more than one scapegoat that was allowed to run, I would run it. It basically, with United We Stand, you can activate this in the battle phase, like right before you declare an attack. If you have a monster with United We Stand, then you activate Scapegoat. You now have 5 monsters on the field. So that monster gains 4,000 attack and defense. This is another easy way to OTK your opponent. I mean, even a Scapegoat counter that has 3,200 attack, if you have to activate Scapegoat and equip it with United We Stand. That's not bad at all. One heart failed to feel. If you take direct damage from your opponent's direct attack, take control of one face-up monster your opponent controls with the highest defense until your next end phase. Its effects are negated and it cannot declare an attack. This is basically your out against your opponent's monsters. It's like another mind control. You take damage, steal one of your opponent's monsters, and then you can use it for your overlay plays. You can help you make big odds. And one Megamorph. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, the original attack of the equipped monster is doubled. When your life points are higher, the original attack of the equipped monster is halved. This card's just in there for right now. I'll probably take it out for Hidden Armory shortly. One Armory Arm. This is level 4. I'm not sure how well the deck can make level 4 monsters, but it's possible. And having another equip card can help the deck out a lot. Mind Control, bring back with Autonomous Action Unit, or you steal with Heartfelt Appeal can help you make any of your synchros. So, one Allied Justice Catastrophe, you can run any level 5 you want, honestly. But if you battle as a non-dark monster, you can destroy it. So if you have problem monsters your opponent controls, like if your opponent has a BLS on Blackluster Soldier on their field, and you can't get over it, then make Catastor and ram into it and destroy it. And then I just run 2 level 5s because this deck seems to be able to make level 5s pretty easily. Magical Android, it's a 2400 beat stick, and during your end phase gain 600 life points for each face-up psychic monster you control. It's the only psychic monster in the deck, I believe. Yeah, it's the only psychic monster in the deck. But that 600 life points can really help you. One guy and I, we're using a generic level 6 that can help the deck, and this is just a really powerful beat stick. We went into a lot of detail about Power Tool Mecha Dragon earlier. Another option for the deck over Scrap Archfiend if you want is Power Tool Dragon. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can select 3 equip spell cards from your deck. Have your opponent pick one of them at random and add it to your hand. Return the rest of them to the deck. If this card would be destroyed while it's equipped with an equip card, you can send that card to the graveyard instead. This card also works really well in the deck. I'll probably go back and forth between using Scrap Archfiend and Power Tool Dragon in the duel videos I'm planning on doing with this deck. One Scrap Archfiend, it's a nice level 8 that you can destroy your worthless spell or trap cards equipped to your weak monsters and destroy something your opponent has that's in your way. 2 Daigusto Phoenix and 2 Gachi Gentetsus. We went into them a little detail earlier. Again, just being able to detach from Daigusto Phoenix and giving it 2 attacks, or Gaia Dragon a Thunder Charger 2 attacks is just a really good effect. One Big Eye. Basically, you detach an XYZ material from him to take control of one of your opponent's monsters. This deck takes control of your opponent's monsters like nobody's business. Between Heartfelt Appeal, Mind Control, Autonomous Action Unit, Big Eye, this deck can really take control of your opponent's monsters fast. I mean, if you don't believe me, take my word for it. But look at all these cards that can take control of your opponent's monsters. Next, we have 1 Leviathan Dragon and 1 Acid Golem. They're just really good rank 3 monsters, and there's a lot of level 3 monsters in the deck. Like all your double attack monsters, your Sangan, and your Necro Gardener. Okay guys, thanks you all for watching. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of this video guys. Well, peace YouTube.